It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, June 26th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Health is Happiness, the Evangelism Scripts Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is a wonderful Wednesday. We've already reached the middle of the week, and we have a great Wednesday service tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow we have Q&A Thursday. So get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. We have it every single week. Send me those questions. There is no question that is wrong, no question that is bad, right? As people say, there are no such things as stupid questions. I'm not going to say the second part because usually you end it with, there are no stupid questions, there are only stupid people. But I'm not going to say that because it's not like that. But I'd say the only time it would be kind of a bad, well, yeah, there is a time to be a bad question. There is a bad question if you just answered it and they ask the exact same question again. I think that would be not a very good question. But either way. If you haven't yet, leave a like and comment to build our community. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is God has been giving us everything He needed to give us at each time and fulfilling all the will. You will connect only if you know. You will open your eyes only if you take action. So it's a big shout out and thank you to Eddie Kwan for another wonderful Tuesday episode. He is doing his best and getting a lot of great information, especially about second gen and stuff like that too. So I hope that you guys will continue to support him and help him so that he can give him good feedback so that he can do better and better each and every time. Also, for me, I am super relaxed right now. Why am I super relaxed? Because my friends from America, the American members, have officially left. I think most of them are in Korea right now. They're going to do another tour. So it's like 3 weeks being overseas, but I think it's really good. I think it's great that they came to Malaysia first. They get over their jet lag. They have kind of like a vacation time, and then they can go to Wolmyongdong. They can learn the educations, and they can get more of the serious stuff without being in that jet lag, that state of jet lag also. So I think most of them are staying there for like another week and a half or something along that line. So I'm also praying that they have a really good and safe trip. Because, there's so many crazy things that happen. As I told you, one of the members broke their foot in Malaysia. Right? It was like, is there a revelation for someone breaking their foot? And I was like, yep, Malaysia is broken. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I hope that no other weird or funny ordeals happen over there too, right? For me, like I said, I'm back to what you call it's more like normal mode right now. I'm a little bit tired. Well, actually, I'm really tired. But super happy to be with, just to have that time with the American members. I think it's the first time I've actually met American members here in Malaysia. Most of my friends that come here are from Asia. They're going to be Koreans, they're going to be Japanese, they're going to be Taiwanese and stuff like that too. And like next month, there are some more friends coming from Taiwan and Australia. So I look forward to the person coming from Australia also. But the good thing is, even the person that broke their foot, and most of these members, they all want to come back. They all want to see more of Malaysia. They want to experience Malaysia much more too. So they love the country, the people, the members, of course. They went to the churches here. And I would say one of the big benefactors is the big factors of why people like Malaysia from like America and Canada and stuff is because it's much cheaper, right? When you're coming with American dollars, it's just got so much power compared to everything else, right? For you guys, I have a question for you guys out there. You can write this in the comments. Is what country do you want to visit the most? Like, like a bucket list. Like, oh, I really want to go to this country. Is there a place you've dreamed about going to, a place you really want to visit or even live for just a short amount of time? For me, I would say I'm the exact opposite as you guys because since I've traveled so much, I actually would prefer to find a place to settle instead of. I'd rather find a place to settle instead of exploring new places. Like I don't think it's a bad idea to go like these short vacations, but I've just traveled so much to the point I'm like, ugh, it's difficult, right? So I would say that, yeah. I'd rather find a place to settle than find a new place to go to. But if I were to choose, where would I go? I think a place that I'd really want to visit would be India. India would be nice. Oh, and South America. But I'm not like someone like going, oh, I have to go. This is my bucket list. I just think it'd be really interesting to go there because I know I've lived in Europe, I lived in Asia, I lived in Southeast Asia, I went to Africa. All over North America. So I'm thinking maybe going to other continents I've never been before, like South America and India. I think that would be kind of cool to visit there. Is there any other Asian countries I'd go to? Maybe Tibet? I don't know. But it's not anything that I'm like, oh, I have to go. But do you guys have a place you really, really want to go to? I think, yeah, because we should travel. We should kind of expand and open our hearts and our minds. I think one of the things that traveling does do is it really opens your eyes and hearts to other people and other cultures. And I think that's really important because when you're stuck in your own culture, your own country, and your own place, that's all you know. And it's good to have new perspectives, new ways of seeing things, and having a better understanding of other countries and other people too. Right? I think that's something that's very, very important. But yeah, write down in the comments below. I'd love to know which country is a country you would love to go to. All right? Oh, you know what? I was watching a YouTube short. These are like 60 seconds. And it was this celebrity was talking about the first movie that they ever saw inside a movie theater. And that made me think about oh yeah, what was the first movie I've ever seen? Like in my life. What's the first movie I've ever seen? And the first movie theater experience I've had, I think I was like 3 or 4. And it was my uncle that took me to the movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I saw that in theater, right? My uncle took me to a late night movie, opening night. Me and my brother, he woke us up at like 9:30 p.m. We're usually asleep by this time. Took us to the movie theater. We went downtown. This huge, I think it's called Capitol 6. It fits 2,000 people in that movie theater. And it was awesome. Just to go out late at night, watch a movie, have popcorn, drink like soda and stuff like that. And that was the first time I ever saw a movie inside a theater. I barely remember it. I just remember more being woken up by my uncle and going out. Like I don't remember the actual movie in the theater, but I just thought it was a cool experience. I don't know. What about you guys? You can write that in the comments too. What was the first movie that you actually saw in a movie theater? And honestly, I think it might be different for each generation. Because in my generation, going to the movies was such an experience. It was something everyone looked forward to, something that was considered quite special. Nowadays, streaming took over everything. So it's about Netflix and Disney and Paramount and all these like streaming services that you can kind of watch movies anytime you want to. You gotta kind of make that movie experience at your own home kind of thing, right? And nowadays watching a movie is not an experience. Like put it this way, guys. This is something that's very old school that only people in my generation would understand is when you bought a movie ticket, you don't buy the seat. You just buy a ticket and it's first come, first serve. And people line up for hours so they can get a good seat in the movie theater. Like, tell me that's crazy. That's what we did. We would have these movies come out and we'd be lined up 2 to 3 hours before the movie started. And just to be near the front of the line, knowing that you're going to get a good seat, that was like such a good feeling. But yeah, it doesn't happen today because you can buy a ticket and that ticket has your seat number. You don't have to come early. Like you don't have to come early and buy you don't have to come early and wait in line to get a seat. But that's what it was like in my days, right? But I don't know, these days it just seems too easy. Not a big deal. And I would say even now, because of the economy and inflation and stuff, going to the movies is very expensive. That's what I feel. I think, except for being in Malaysia. Malaysia, you can get a movie ticket, popcorn, and a drink for less than the ticket in America. Like the ticket itself is more than what you pay for the movie, popcorn, and a drink here in Malaysia. So, but for Malaysians, I'm sure it's considered quite expensive. But yeah, that's quite interesting. I don't know. Are any of you guys out there in my generation that went through that movie experience? It was like really exciting, waiting in line, talking with your friends, talking about the movie you're about to watch and stuff. No? If you do, yeah, it's quite interesting because remember, my demographics in MSD is like 25 to 39, I think. Something like 25, 35, 40. 25 to 54 is my demographic, is a big one. So the people in the later years will be kind of more understanding to what I'm talking about, waiting in line and stuff like that. But of course, I do appreciate nowadays you could just buy a ticket seat. I appreciate that because no one wants to spend time 2-3 hours before watching a movie and stuff, but that was kind of my generation. Oh, I am super thankful for all the comments out there, especially the comments from Blessed Family parents. So the parents are responding well to my thoughts on blessed families, and I think this is something that we need to acknowledge even more, like how amazing it is to be a blessed family and how grateful we should be. And like I said, we have to understand the real deep shimjang of what a blessed family goes through and the added pressures and expectations, right? And I would say that we should be grateful more than anything else. Raising the second gen, like I am spending time with for the last week, I spent so much time with the second gen from America, and then we had this cool time where we had the second gens from other families meet with the second gens from this, all the parents were talking about really deep stuff, and all the kids were if you see my Instagram, you'll see it. Like all the kids are just having fun. We're playing games. We're doing stuff that's so crazy. But I really, really enjoyed that time seeing the second gen together. And I would say, guys, raising the second gen is such an important role, and there's no guarantee. And that's why I don't think we can really blame blessed families unless it's egregious. Unless they're they're beating their kids and throwing them out of the house and, doing stuff super egregious, which I have not seen a blessed family do that yet. But there's no guarantee the second gen is going to do well. There's no guarantee. Even if you raise the child really, really well, there's no guarantee they'll stay. There's no guarantee, right? Raising the second gen is such an important thing. And the blessed family, I know that at times, we think to ourselves that, oh, what are the blessed families doing? And they're just raising their kids. They need to be more involved in church. And I would say the blessed families are doing something. They're not doing nothing, right? Yes, they're not going to evangelize. Yes, they don't have time to teach. Yes, they don't have time to just take out lots of different people until their kids grow older, right? They're not going to do the exact same way others do. But remember this. A religion becomes mainstream when over half of the growth of your church comes from second, third, fourth, like people being born into the church. Right now, we haven't hit that stage, which means that the bulk and majority of our growth comes from street evangelism, going out to meet people. And that's why we look at external evangelism as such a huge thing, because that's where all our growth comes from. But when things actually become normalized and we become mainstream, it means that more than half. So if we have 100 people being evangelized every year, it means that a minimum of 51 of the 100 are coming from blessed families. That's how big it is. Eventually, we're going to see the importance much later. Right now, we don't see it because most of our evangelism comes from evangelism out on campus and out on the streets, right? Which means we have to recognize that what the blessed families are doing is something even greater. And I sincerely believe this. Because when we look long term, when we look at the overall vision of Providence itself, who are going to be the ones that know the history better? Who are the ones that experience it? Who are the ones that have been raised inside of it? It's the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth generations. Raising the next generation, the blessed families, this is vital to the future of Providence. It is vital. When you look at all the newcomers are coming from, they're either Gentiles or their former faith. Their backgrounds play such a huge role. Many come from single families. Many have gone through a lot of trauma. But second gen, I would say, and the blessed families, they're coming from a generation that is blessed. They're coming from a generation that is not going to have the same amount of sins, right, as people coming from the world. Right? They're coming from such a better spiritual background. And I'm saying it's not just about the external evangelism, right? What I'm saying is sometimes we focus too much on it because that's all we have right now. But in the future, we're going to see how much more important the blessed families are actually going to be. Right? Look at the second gens growing up right now. They're all becoming SS in campus right now. Like even when I look at American Providence, we already have second gens that are career department, and soon, like a lot of them are going to start to get married too, right? Which we're like, whoa, that means they've reached a certain age, and that's true. However, we also have to realize that, in countries that are not as, like the second gens aren't as old, because I know in Malaysia, I believe the eldest second gen is 21. So they're still in university right now. And yeah, it's different. And I would say the blessed families are going to be playing such a vital role in the future that, like I said, we can't see it now because most of the evangelism and most of the stuff is being done externally, not internally. Blessed family is a mission, and it is one of the most vital missions we have. It's to raise the next generation. And that's why we also need to have a lot of support and love and respect for all the blessed families too. For me, I'm not a blessed family, but I'm noticing this more and more after hanging out with the second gen. Like that is something I look at and say, oh, that's so interesting. I think that's something that I look at and say, that is something that I would, that made me realize even more the importance of it, because you can see it. These second gens that are like really spiritual and doing well, oh, they're different. They're really different. The way they think, the way they are, how pure they are, it's different. It's very, very different. So for me, I would say that, I can't speak enough on how grateful and how much respect I give to all the blessed families out there. Whether you don't have any children yet, whether you just have a toddler, a baby, a newborn, my sympathies go out to you guys who have the teenagers, right? Second gen. It's hard. It's not easy. Just because they're blessed family and they're second gen, it doesn't mean they're perfect. It doesn't mean they go through mistakes and stuff. They're all gonna go through regular human things, just like everyone else does. Much respect to all of you guys out there, and I hope that we'll continue to recognize you guys even more. Which leads me to another awesome news. The news is, do you guys remember there was Aaron and Chelsea, and they were doing a podcast called Love in Life? And this podcast, like they're newly blessed family. So speaking of blessed family, newly blessed family with a new child, right? So they have a newborn. I am so excited. I can't wait to see I haven't seen the baby yet, right? I want to see the baby badly, but they have a new episode of Love in Life. And I'm excited to hear it too. I want to hear it together with you guys. It's going to be this, for those of you in Asia, it'll be kind of the same time right after pre-dawn, 5:30 a.m. It's going to be posted Saturday morning. And for those of you guys in the Western countries, it's going to be Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I'm excited to hear what their life is like now with a newborn baby. I saw Chelsea and Aaron maybe a month or two before they gave birth. So it was just, it's exciting. Blessed families are amazing. I really, really respect them a lot. And of course, we do know that, the blessing is something that's happening. I think it's happening this year or next year for a lot of countries, this year and next year, right? So I'm very, very excited about that too, just to see new couples and stuff coming out like that also. Either way. All right. So yeah, that's kind of, so guys, remember, Love and Life episode 7 or 8 is coming out. Hope you guys will really, really enjoy it. It's going to be awesome. I hope you guys will enjoy it. Okay. And that's with Chelsea and Aaron, brand new Blessed Family. Get to see in the life. And I think it's going to be great for Blessed Families to listen to too. And I would say talking to the Blessed Family, like the Blessed Families from 1999, here in Malaysia and also in America, because a lot of the 99ers, two families from Blessed in 1999 came, and they met other Blessed families who were blessed in 1999 also here. And, their kids are a lot older right now too, but they have so much wisdom to pass on. They really do. They have wisdom to pass on to the younger generations. And maybe that's something that Chelsea and Aaron can do for the future, is interview the older BFs, try to see what they're thinking, what's in their mind, and what advice they can give so that new blessed families can do even better for the future. All right? So that is something that I am looking very much forward to. When I was here with the American members too, talking with the older members, so these older members, two Blessed Family mothers who were blessed in 1999. So they're both my older sisters, kind of. Well, they are my older sisters. And then there was another American HQ member that came, and all three of them are older than me. They're like older sisters to me, taking care. They take care of me, and they've basically. One time in my life, they've always been taking care of me since I was young. Just gonna be honest. They are they're like good, big, older sisters, right? And we were talking about how Providence has evolved and developed over the years. And we were talking about one thing that we found that Providence is lacking. We could do much better in, right? When it comes to leadership, when it comes to each other too. But especially we're talking about leadership. And we were talking about the one thing that is kind of lacking. And, like I said, all this time when I talk about leadership, I'm actually talking about myself too, because I recognize this in myself also. But it's something I think that we need to kind of think about to improve more. Leadership is not an easy thing. It's definitely not easy. And I would say that leadership is a skill that you need to learn and practice. It's not a natural thing. You need to actually learn and practice the skills of leadership. Now, some people might say, some people are born natural leaders. And the answer is, no one's born a leader. I don't think there's anyone born a leader. And the reason why some people have some natural leadership skills is because of the experiences they had in their life. For instance, they say people who are in team sports, they develop better communication, they work better with people, they have better leadership because they play team sports, right? Being a captain of a team, learning from other leaders. And these are all things we learn along the way, but you don't learn the full spectrum of leadership skills. You learn only the things that you experience and you learn, right? And it's something that we need to learn, study, and put into practice. And the one thing that we were discussing that we thought was something that was very lacking when it comes to Providence just in general that we found. And this is coming from we're talking about the 4 or 5 of us that were talking together. We found that the thing that was probably lacking a lot, and I'm not sure about your countries, but I would say it would be empathy. And when we were discussing that, I really thought back about my time of leadership, and I was so passionate, so gung-ho. I was more about doing the work, getting things done, showing some results, showing some fruits. And I would totally say I lacked empathy. I would say that too when I look back at my life, because we're like, this is the history of God. We got to run. We got to do this. And it's kind of that's the thing that's in our mind, right? And, a lot of times as a leader, sometimes we can't help it, but we're more concerned with doing things properly, doing things right, doing things by the rules. This is how it should be. And because we're so focused on the rules and how things should be, that you should be here, you should do this, you should do that, we lose empathy. Where people are struggling or going through certain things, and they don't feel like, instead, they don't feel like they were like people were listening to them. They don't feel comforted, but instead they feel more like they're being pushed, or another word, or not pushed, but more educated. You know what I mean? Like, I'm educated, like this is how I feel, is what I'm struggling with. And then instead of empathy, you have education. And there's no sympathy to what someone just went through. It's just, get over it. Let's move on. Come on. God wants you to do this kind of thing, right? And I think in reality, sometimes, yes, we're supposed to move forward. Yes, we're supposed to, make the history of God despite of all the difficulties and the things that we went through. Yeah, that's true. But we also have to understand is sometimes we can't move forward. We need to stop. We need to take a deep breath, take a little bit of a rest. And what I've seen in the past with myself and other leaders, and what other people were talking about too, is, people go through difficulty, and you're hurt or traumatized in some way. And when you go to a leader, instead of being comforted or heard or just being listened to, you're kind of being educated, or I would say in some cases you might be talked down to instead, and pushed to do something again. And I think that's something that that we can all work on together. Have you guys ever had that, where you really feel like you're struggling through something, or you finally feel like you can open your heart, but then just the initial reaction of the leaders, like, what? You can see it in their face, that they're shocked, and they're like, whoa, how can you be struggling with that? You're a pastor, you're, whatever it is, right? And they're kind of shocked. The look on their face is like you've done something wrong, or there's something wrong with you. And I would say that I've experienced that before too, and I am pretty much certain that I might have done the same thing too. I'm pretty certain I did too. And I do think it's something that we can work on together as a whole, that we can work on empathy, right? And this is my personal opinion from my experiences traveling from country to country to country. And I do believe it's about, yes, I do think we have to overcome. I do think we have to push forward and make great history happen. And I do think we're reaching towards more perfection. But I do think there's a time to stop and cry, if you need to. Of course, for me, I'd be crying in my closet so no one saw me, or I go to a movie theater and cry. But, there's a time for that. And when there's a lack of empathy, if there's a lack of empathy, it doesn't allow us to be human. It kind of makes us more like machines, Like, emotion is like a really important part of the human experience. And if we don't have empathy, and we just got to keep moving and pushing forward, then, it stops us from feeling human. Like, I would say one of the big things for me that I was very thankful for is 2023 was wild. And I really held myself together, and I was really, really strong, especially when it came to MSD, making sure that, we're all on the right track. But after everything kind of died down, I really needed to take a break. And I got away, with some good friends, and I would travel somewhere else just to decompress, right? Just to be able to express my heart. And the good thing about having great friends around you, and of course they're very empathetic, is it's already after 2023 has ended. We're already in 2024, and I needed to I needed an outlet, right? And to have that person there, not saying, come on, it's 2024, we're over it now. No, it was more of yeah, this is my time to decompress. I need to kind of let some things out, kind of thing. And I think that was really, really important in my recovery, right? It's not about just pushing forwards towards perfection without stopping. But I think one thing we have to think about is our life and our pursuit of perfection is a lifetime journey. It's not something that has to happen right now, right? We don't have to be perfect right now. We are in the process of perfection, and it is a lifetime journey. And we're going to have our ups and downs. And I think that's one of the things I loved about being with the American members. It's just, you're with people that you love, and you're being with people that love you, and everyone is understanding that we're on a long journey. And part of it is because most of us there, a lot of us there, we're all, late 40s to 50s. We've been through it all. We've gone through this together kind of thing. And we understand it's a long journey. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be times it's not very, very good. And in that, like during this trip with the Americans, remember I told you all the crazy stuff that happened, with the car rental, the punctured tire, breaking their foot. And even for me, like I would, send them on the wrong ways. Like I took them, when you're searching for like pavilion, there's like 5 different pavilions, and I take them to the wrong one by mistake. And there's all these mistakes that happen during this like 7-day trip. But what's great is because you're in this situation when you just have a really good group of people, we make mistakes, we laugh. It's okay. We move forward together. We pick each other up. We take a break when we need it, right? Like you think about even that person that broke their foot, right? That's a big problem. And we're kind of moving forward, like going, oh, okay. Like, are you sure you want to stay? Like, oh, no, my foot hurts. I got to stay home. So we're like, okay, you can stay home kind of thing, right? So we would spend a day and a half going out sightseeing and stuff like that too. But as we move forward, we're like in consideration as, oh, what can we do to help this person to enjoy more time? And as we move forward, we kind of adjust. We think of, oh, should we buy a cane? Should we get a walker? And then we're like, oh, let's get a wheelchair. And then there's an actual wheelchair there. It's just like there's so many things that worked out that for the last 3 days, this person with a broken foot was able to go out and enjoy their time because we had a wheelchair that we borrowed from a church. And it's kind of like, whoa, a church has a wheelchair. It's like, yeah, they do. And we're able to borrow that wheelchair. And then this person, even though we're slower because there's a wheelchair, even though we have to push this person up the hills and stuff, it was just good time, right? Problems are going to happen. Usually things don't happen according to how we feel or how we think. We just need to adjust, find another way, take things slower, just enjoy the time. I think this is what a community or a church should be like, right? Flat tire, no worries. Bad car rental, no worries. Broken foot, no worries, right? There's so many wrong turns that are happening. And there's so many reasons to be upset. There are reasons. But we're going to go through it. We're going to experience it. We're going to adjust. We're going to move forward. We're going to take care of each other. And it was kind of one of those feelings of, this is like a miniaturization of what a church should be like. We're just hanging out. Things don't work out. We can't figure out the service. So I did the service. We did a service together. We're fine with it. Like everything kind of just slowly works out. Everyone talks and says this, and it's fine. And we just move forward. And I think that's what like a real big, or not a big, but just a real community should kind of have that type of feeling and that type of atmosphere, right? So that's kind of what I was feeling after this trip with the Americans. And I think it's something that we should all be thinking about too, about what our church is, what our leadership and stuff, and how we can take care of each other better too should be like, all right? Either way, all right? So remember, we have evangelism scripts coming up next, and evangelism scripts is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. I am going to talk about, this script is going to be for Christian, someone in the former faith, that feels that they're fine and they don't need to study the Bible, right? And this is something where I will give a script for this type of person, right? And that's what I'll go over for the second segment. But before we get into it, let's move into the first music break of the day.
Y'all ready for this?
You've given, you know I love you, I'm already singing, got the stories that we have together, it's here for sure you're loving. You gave me a chance, and with the mistakes I've made, I've never fallen away from you. Though times are rough, it'll be okay, 'cause I am never, ever, ever gonna leave you astray. Ay, thunderstorms are a little scary, but with you, I won't feel weary. Even on cloudy days when skies are gray, my heart's a cave. The sun will shine through the rain today. Let us dance on the streets, let us rock to the beat. Show me how you feel about me, watch me move my feet. You're always on my mind, I can feel it in my heart. Everything's alright, 'cause you're not so far. Please take my hand and love me through a dance. I wanna show you my love, so give me a chance. We have stories of joy and pain, but that's okay, 'cause that's like dancing in the wind. And I will say it again, I'ma dance with you.
I'ma dance with you. I'ma dance with you. We can move to the beat, our love so complete. I'ma dance with you. I'ma dance with you. I'ma dance with you. We can groove to the beat, our love so complete. I'ma dance with you.
All right, so let's get into today's evangelism script word study. And of course, one of the big things that we are talking about lately is evangelism. This is something that we really got to get ourselves back into. We have to grow this history, and we have to realize how desperate Sunsim is right now, that even he is evangelizing where he is right now, and he wants us to do the same, and we have to figure out a better way. We have to figure out new ways. We have to do things. We have to try things. And, you know, this is one of the discussions I had with the members in when the Americans came, and there's some leaders that came too, and talking to them, we're like, man, it's not so much about figuring out what is the most successful thing. Because the honest answer is, no one knows. Like, no one knows what is more successful. And because we don't know what is successful, we can't guarantee. Like, if we knew what the most successful type of evangelism was, wouldn't we be doing it right now? The problem we have at the moment is when we evangelize, we don't have a good system. Like, we don't have the most successful system where we're just kind of doing things the way we always had and just hoping that it would get better and better with time. And I would say right now at this moment that the most important thing that should matter to us at this moment is coming up with new ideas and just trying them out. We got to test them out, guys. We really do. We got to test out what is the best way to do this, what is the best way to do that kind of thing, right? And I hope that is something that we can really open our hearts and our minds to and realize that, this is what we should be doing here kind of thing, right? And, you know, if we try and test new and different ways of doing things, this is where we can, you know, share with other countries and other churches and say, hey, we tried this and this works out really well. Oh, you should try this or you should try that, right? So I am going to go into evangelism script today. And like I said, having these scripts in your pocket are going to be good for when you find someone who's ready. And when I say when you find someone who's ready, remember, most of the people you meet are not going to be ready for this history. It's not like just because someone says, oh, I'm a Gentile, and this, it doesn't mean they're ready. It's finding the right people. When you find the right person, you've got to say the right thing. You've got to be able to introduce the words well, right? So today I'm going to go over, one is about a Christian or someone of the former faith or someone who used to go to church, whatever it was, and they feel that, oh, everything's fine, I'm good, I don't need to study the Bible, right? Oh, my faith is good, I don't need to study anything else, right? And I want to kind of show them that, you know, there's something that we have to do more, right? Like, it's good, like, I want you to start studying the Bible more. All right, so I'll start off with like really, really basic question, super basic question. And I will ask them is okay, you know, so this person knows their faith. I was like, great, so you know your faith. Let me ask you a question. And they're like, okay, why do you believe in God? Like, what's the reason you believe in God? And, you know, people are going to ask a bunch of different questions. They're going to answer in a bunch of different ways. Oh, because of this. Oh, because of that, right? And I'll tell them, you know what? Let's get into the fundamental reason, or we'll say the fundamental essence, right? What is that fundamental essence? It's when you break things down to the point, you get to a single answer that if you took this away, you would never do it. Like that is the fundamental, right? It's like, oh yeah, I do this, this, and this, but why do you do it? But if you took this away, oh, I would never do it in the first place, kind of thing, right? It's kind of like working. If you're working to, support your family, it doesn't matter how nice the job is if you don't get paid, right? It doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not. If you don't get paid, what's the point, right? That's a fundamental reason why people go out to work, right? So let's get into the fundamental reason why you believe in God. So the question is, why do you believe in God? And imagine God says to you that, oh yeah, I want you to believe in me. Even if God showed himself to you, says, believe in me. Would you still believe? And the answer, probably they'll say, yeah, of course I believe if he showed me who he was. But then I said, but would you believe and follow him? And that would depend on what? Well, what's he going to do for me? Do you know what I mean? Like, what does God do for you that makes you want to believe and follow him? So think about this. Imagine God shows himself to you right now. He's right in front of you. And he said, hey, believe in me and all my commandments. Life is going to be hard because people will come against you. Some people will ridicule you. And in some cases, some may even kill you. Right? And you'd be like, oh my goodness, of course, God, I would follow you. I believe. But then he says, and at the end of your life, when everything is all said and done, you will go to hell like everyone else. Question is, would you still believe? Would you still believe? And the answer is no way. Why? What's the point? Even if you know God is real, why would you believe in him? Why would you follow in him if in the end we're punished just like everyone else? So when we get to the first step of understanding why we believe in God, it's because of salvation. Without salvation, it's the fundamental essence. You take salvation away, why would you believe? Why would you care? Why would you follow? Even if God was real in front of your face, you'd be like, there's no point of following you. So that's step one. Let's go to step two, right? So step two, let's go one step deeper. So let's say you get saved. You believe and you get saved. Where do you go? Well, you go to heaven. It's like, oh, so then I'll say, like, okay, so then you go to heaven. My question to you is, what makes heaven so great? And some people are like, oh, there's peace in my heart. There's joy. There's love. There's happiness. All these things people say, right? But I'll be like, well, what does that mean? Like you just walk into heaven and you have this overwhelming feeling of love and you're like, oh, love, this is peace, oh, happy. Like, what does that mean that you just walk into heaven and all those things are there, right? So let me give you an example, right? So I'll give you another example is this. Imagine you have, you meet the love of your life. The love of your life. No one, like, this is the one God has given you, the love of your life. And together, you make this dream together, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let's make our dream home. And guess what? Your spouse is filthy mega rich. So you can make anything you want for your dream home, right? Build whatever you want. So I'm going to ask this newcomer, hey, what's your dream home? And for me, I'd be like, I want a fully serviced cafe with a great barista. I want an indoor basketball court, indoor grass soccer court with volleyball. I also want a helicopter pad with a runway for a plane. Like, there's so many things I'd be like, oh, I want this, I want this. You know, that would be my ideal home. Huge theater, right? So one day, you and this amazing love of your life, you go on vacation somewhere. You know, Aruba, Tahiti, Fiji, somewhere like that, right? And you're swimming together in the ocean, and it's just like the greatest time you've ever had. And suddenly, a shark comes, and you're swimming for the shore, but your husband or wife pushes you forward. The shark bites them, grabs them, and shakes them like a rag doll. And then basically the shark drags your lover to the bottom of the ocean, gets his other shark buddies and just tears them apart, limb to limb, blood just everywhere, head is gone, all the parts, blah, 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 blah. And all that is left that you can find is his left big toe. That's it. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous. So now you go back to your dream home. You know, it's got everything you want. The theater, it's got the soccer field, volleyball, helicopter pad, private jet, everything. Are you happy? And the answer is, no, you're not. Because we all know inside, it's not about where you are. The more important thing is, who are you with? So this person that you love with all your heart, right? What made that home so loving? What made that home have happiness? What made that home have so much joy? It was you were with the one that you love with all your heart. So it goes back down to what makes heaven so great? And the answer is God. It's because God is there. So here we are. We know that God wants you to believe and follow him, right? And if you believe and follow him, he'll invite you over to his house so that the two of you can be together, right? So let's take it one step more deeply. Because if you think about it, you're not going to feel joy, love, peace, and harmony, all these things, even from God, for one reason and one reason alone. So you're like, what? Even if God is there, you're not going to feel like, yeah, put it this way. Let's go one step deeper into what is the fundamental essence of God. What makes God God? What is the one thing that if you took it out, he would no longer be God? And one of the best verses in the Bible is 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, right? It says, beloved, let us love one another for, what is it? Let us love one another for, oh gosh, I forgot the verse. I have a song for it too. Beloved, let us love one another, let us love one another for la da da da. I completely forgot, but I have my phone with me right now, which means that I can get into it. 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. Right? It's basically saying that you have to love each other, because if you don't love each other, you don't know God, because God is love, right? Let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love, right? So when we look at this, God, right? God is no longer God if you take out love. Why? Because God is love. And this is why, like, one of the greatest, the greatest commandment in the Bible, the golden rule, is what? Matthew 22, verse 37 says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength, right? That's the number one rule. It's all about love, which means the fundamental essence of God is love. And when we kind of realize this, it makes sense, right? That God loves us so much that he sent his only son to die for us so that we can be together, because he loves us so much, right? But here's the thing. Would you want to live with someone you don't love? No, because no matter how handsome or how great or how powerful or whatever it is someone is, if you don't love them, you don't want to live with them. It's like hell, which means that even if you go to heaven, if you don't love God, you're not going to feel it. It's not going to be like heaven. And the thing we have to understand is the reason why all things happen because of God's love. But if we realize what love is, what does that mean? If God is love, and God has loved us so much to send his only son to die for us, to give us salvation, does love just end with God loving us? And the answer is no. We have to love God back. We don't love God because he gives us salvation. Right? Salvation is the act of love. 1 John chapter 4, verse 19, one of my favorite verses says, we love him because he loved us first. Right? When we read the Bible, when we hear the gospel, that Jesus died on the cross, that the man of mission sacrificed his life for us, if we don't understand the love, we can't really feel it. We can't really understand it that well. all the things that God has done, even sending the man of mission, suffering on our behalf, that is God's love. And we have to recognize it to that level. We love him because he loved us first. Jesus dying on the cross, act of love. God sacrificing his only son, act of love. God sacrificing the man of mission, act of love. God forgiving us is an act of love. It's all about love. These are all things that are coming out because of love. Which means that the biggest thing that we have to understand is, if everything is about love, the bigger question is, are you loving God back? Are you really loving God back? So the big question is, how do you love God? Is it just going to church? Is it just praying? So let me give you an example, a story. Let's just say some random person comes to you, and this random person says to you, I love you. What's your reaction? Honestly, wouldn't you just laugh? Like, who is this crazy stranger saying they love me, right? Now, let's just say that same person is someone you know. This person is a friend, and they come to you and say, I love you. What's your reaction? You'd be like, oh, thanks so much, man. Like, oh, okay, thanks, right? Same person, but your reaction is different. Let's say it's the exact same person, but this is your best friend. How would you react? Or what if this same person becomes your lover? What would your reaction be? Now, it's the exact same person, but what's the difference? Right? What is the difference that would make you react differently from this when this person is someone you know who's a stranger to someone who's your lover? And the answer is, it's about how much you know them. And I would say loving is knowing, right? Is how much you know is how much you can love. And that's why you look at like John chapter 17, verse 3. And basically Jesus is like saying, this is eternal life, is knowing the only and true God and Jesus Christ. It's about knowing them. That's what love is. Love is knowing. How much do you know God? How much do you try to know God better? Are you really madly in love with him or not? It's because you don't know enough. You can only love as much as you know. And this is why when you look at Matthew chapter 25, verse 1 through 13, it's the parable of the 10 virgins. We know this story, right? 5 wise and 5 foolish. They're all waiting for the bridegroom. So they're all waiting. They're all there looking forward to the bridegroom. The foolish ones had to go back because they didn't have enough oil. But when they eventually came, they knocked on the door. But guess what the bridegroom says in verse 12? He doesn't say, you don't love me, but he says it in a different way. He says, I don't know you. I don't know you. That's what love is, right? Love is knowing. And from this point, I would be imploring with this former faith or this Christian to tell them like, hey, this is why you need to learn the word more. This is why it's so important for all of us to fall in love with God. Because as long as you're not in love, madly and deeply in love with God, living forever with someone you're not madly in love with is torture. And then this is how I would start getting to help them to learn the Bible a lot more. All right? You know what? I'm going to use this for one of my Rebel Pastor episodes too. I think it's going to be very important. Either way. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is today's evangelism scripts. I hope it's something that helps you guys out too. Helps you guys out. Not only you guys, but also when you go out to evangelize too. Okay? So there it is. That is today's evangelism script. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave in the comments below. If you have any special situations you want me to go over, I'll try to make a script for that too. Okay? So yeah, that is the end of today's second segment. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, we have Health is Happiness next. So before we get into it, let's move into the last music break of the day. Okay, so let's get into today's final segment. And of course, every single Wednesday we do have Health is Happiness. Hope you guys are enjoying this and having a great time with this too. Health is Happiness today. Let's see what today's, I didn't look at it, but today's Health is Happiness is about gut health. And I think this is a very, very important one that not many people remember, but it is very, very important, right? So I hope you guys will enjoy this. I believe this is Julius Mayumo from Australia. This is Health is Happiness.
Hi everyone, Julius here, and welcome to the Health is Happiness segment. Here's where we discuss all the different ways we can improve health for a happy life, both physically and spiritually. This is episode 9, and today we're going to start with a new topic, which is gut health. So today we're going to talk about the gut microbiome. Now, most people know that what you eat affects your health, and it's best to avoid processed food. But the finer details aren't always known clearly. It's important to know how eating something or not eating something affects us, how specifically, so we can make the necessary adjustments based on our own individual circumstances. Gut health in particular has an immense influence over our mental and physical health, more than we know in general. The quality of your gut microbiome is pretty much one and the same with the quality of your gut health. So what exactly is the gut microbiome? The gut microbiome, in short, is the community of microbes, most of which are bacteria, which live within our gut. There are literally trillions of bacteria living in your gut, and most of them exist in a symbiotic relationship with your body. Your gut is not just your stomach. It actually starts all the way from your mouth right down to your colon. Yes, I know it's not very appetizing to think about, but I promise to do my best to disclose only what's necessary to get the important facts across. Now, the reason why this topic is important is because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut, and your gut microbiome plays a primary role in regulating that immune system. First thing I'm going to talk about is the gut-brain axis. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the term gut feeling. There's a reason that term exists. The gut and brain have a bi-directional influence on each other. In other words, if you're stressed or not stressed, happy or sad, this will in fact adjust the chemistry of your gut and vice versa. If you change the chemistry of your gut, that will affect how your brain works as well. There are actually neurons in the gut that signal to the brain to release neurochemicals such as dopamine or serotonin, which motivates us to seek out a particular kind of food, types of interactions or behaviors, and also to avoid particular foods or certain types of interactions and behaviors. Our gut influences our thoughts and feelings without us even knowing. This is particularly true when it comes to a relationship with particular foods. Many of those neurons that are in your gut don't reside in your stomach, but they reside in the lower regions of your gut, where most of the microbiota reside. In fact, you have taste receptors located all along your digestive tract that are communicating with your brain. Food and eating is not just about the food and nutrients we need or don't need. There are subconscious signals and waves of nerve cells always coming from our body and changing the way our brain works. We tend to think the reason we like sweet foods is just because they taste good, and although that is true, it's actually also because of how our gut responds to it. An experiment was done where sugar was directly infused into the gut of a person, which means they did not taste it at all, and that made the person crave those sugary foods even more. Sugar, fat, and amino acids is what the gut neurons respond to the most. Out of these three, sugar is the most stimulating, which explains why we love it so much. Now, given this gut-brain connection, then you may already have guessed that these microbiota strongly influence the signals sent to the brain. Microbiota aid in the digestion process and create neurochemicals which influence your brain function, improving or diminishing your mood. The types of foods loved by the microbiota already present in your gut also influence the food cravings you tend to have. There are particular gut microbiota that create dopamine, which is released into your bloodstream. It is also interesting to note that majority of the serotonin is manufactured in the gut, which is then released by neuromodulators in the brain in response to pleasant social interactions. Bottom line is, having the right conditions for healthy microbiota to flourish allow us to have a better overall baseline dopamine and serotonin levels, which impacts our overall mood, levels of irritability, and well-being. Now, before I talk about how to have a healthy gut microbiome, I want to mention additional problems that come with a poor gut microbiome. A poor gut microbiome leads to low-grade chronic inflammation, which over time compounds to accelerate aging of the body and brain, as well as driving metabolic dysfunction. Examples of metabolic disorders include increased weight gain, particularly visceral fat around the waist, heart diseases, diabetes, and stroke. In addition to this, autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis have been linked to disruption of the gut microbiome. Please note, association does not equal causation. There are many genetic factors that predispose people to such autoimmune diseases. Nonetheless, as you can see, a lot of bad things happen. So what's the deal? How does this all come about? As mentioned before, your gut hosts the largest number of immune cells in your body, and most of it is in your colon, where the largest number of microbiota are also residing. Now, all the protein, fat, and carbs get metabolized in the upper part of your digestive tract and rarely reach the lower regions. Fiber in food, however, passes all the way through your gut, and this is what's left over for the microbes to eat. Without proper amounts of fiber, the starving bacteria start to eat the lining of your gut, which separates the immune cells from the bacteria. Your immune cells are guardians, so what happens when they see the bacteria? They activate and unleash chemical warfare, which damage DNA and cells inside your body, causing inflammation. Inflammation in itself is not always bad. For instance, when you go through intense exercise, your body responds by causing inflammation in your muscles, which turns on the genes that starts to repair damaged cells. It's an essential part of the repair recovery system. The problem is, chronic inflammation, which comes from a hyperactive immune system, attacks its own house. Furthermore, when the gut microbes feed on the fiber, they also produce byproducts called short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids are absorbed into the bloodstream and regulate multiple functions of your biology, including your immune system. It also lowers inflammation in the body, so not having them present is a total negative. So basically, feeding the microbes in our gut is important, but we want to feed the ones that are beneficial for us and live in the right place. Most of those happen to be the ones that feed on fiber in the colon. Now, in the typical modern Western diet, people on average get about 10 to 20 grams of fiber, and the US government recommends 30 to 35 grams per day. Meanwhile, traditional hunter-gatherer societies consume 100 to 150 grams of fiber. So as you can see, it's a huge difference. So what kinds of fiber should one be eating? Most of the experts recommend eating a diverse variety of whole plant-based foods for your sources of fiber. Examples include nuts, seeds, legumes, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Now there's a caveat to this. Once you have established a particular gut microbiome, it's not enough to just consume high fiber foods to significantly change it. You need to introduce the right microbes. Now the first thing that might come to mind is using a probiotic supplement. What was surprising to me was that this wasn't the recommended approach given by a number of experts, unless otherwise prescribed by your physician. There were following reasons that they gave for this. First of all, the supplement industry isn't well regulated, and you really have to know what you're looking for to find a high quality product. Secondly, taking probiotics may cause brain fog or SIBO for that matter due to the high concentration of microbes. Third, most probiotic supplements actually don't contain the microbiota that you need the most. What they do is they change the environment with certain types of bacteria, which make it suitable for good bacteria to grow once you start eating the right foods. With that being said, the experts also did mention that using probiotics can be helpful when traveling, being under chronic stress, or after taking a series of antibiotics. The recommended method for increasing the presence of healthy gut microbiota was ingesting low-sugar fermented foods regularly over an extended period of time. Doing this in combination with high-fiber diet gives the best outcome to maintain a healthy gut microbiome. Please keep in mind, if you're not accustomed to eating a lot of fiber, it can stress the gut. So you want to increase your intake gradually over time, starting with a low dose. Your body will begin to adjust accordingly. So what are some of the fermented foods out there? Kimchi is one of them, which I'm sure everyone knows. Sauerkraut, kombucha, natto, natural kefir, and plain yogurt. Now, having this high-fiber diet will work for most people, but not for everyone, which is important to keep in mind. For instance, there are groups of people out there like the Maasai who live mostly off animal products. There are also many individuals out there with autoimmune disorders who have reportedly benefited from a carnivore or ketogenic diet. This has allowed them to cut out foods that trigger their immune response, which reduce their overall inflammation. Such novel diets would best be done with the guidance of your personal physician. Now that we've talked about what to eat, let's talk about what to avoid. Among the processed foods, I specifically want to mention artificial sweeteners, because a lot of people have this as an alternative to sugar. Artificial sweeteners significantly disrupt your microbiome, so it's best to try out a natural one like stevia. Low to moderate amounts of these bad foods are manageable just as long as you maintain your regular high-fiber diet and fermented food intake. You also want to be cautious with antibiotics. They're a carpet bomb that kills everything in sight, both good and bad. Try to find alternatives as much as possible when consulting with your physician, because each round of antibiotic treatment makes it increasingly difficult to restore your gut microbiome. This is why they're not so easily given out. You also want to avoid chronic stress, poor sleep, and it also helps to maintain proper social interactions. Remember, the brain affects the gut microbiome. So there you have it. Now, before we wrap up, I will just summarize some key points. Firstly, low sugar fermented foods in combination with a variety of fiber-rich food sources is the best way to maintain a healthy gut microbiome for most people. Secondly, a healthy gut microbiome keeps inflammation in the brain and body low that would otherwise accelerate aging and drive metabolic disorders. So that's it for today's episode of Health is Happiness. Please drop a comment below if you have any suggestions or found something particularly interesting to you. I'm always looking forward to reading them. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
And thank you so much, Julius, for another wonderful episode on gut health on Health is Happiness. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, gained a lot from this too. It is a wonderful and awesome segments that we're getting every single Wednesday. Some of them are redone. We're replaying them because it is that important. And of course, as human beings, we forget along the way. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have an amazing and awesome day. It is Wednesday with the service tonight, so enjoy that too. And then we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm